All right, we're dealing with chapters 15 and 16, a little bit longer chapters. The first one we deal with, chapter 15, is an introductory chapter to verbs. We're going to be meeting verbs and learning a lot about verbs. Note that there are no exercises in chapter 15 and no vocabulary. So it's a read-only chapter, not any forms to learn, but it is a very, very important chapter. What I want you to notice, first of all, is the exegetical insight as normal. That helps us understand the importance of tense. And we will learn a lot about tense, both from an English perspective and a Greek perspective, in the next several lessons. But as I say, I repeat, this chapter is very important. I can't repeat that too often because there are just some things you must learn in this chapter. So read it and, of course, remember where it is. That's going to be the big thing, is remembering where it is, and then having the discipline to use it for reference. When you have a question about verbs, general question about verbs, I'd go back, and every time you have a question, just go back and read again and look again and see what's being done here. Here's an overview of the chapter on page 122. Every one of those bullet points is important. You're going to be dealing with basic grammar relating to English verbs, which will help you a great deal. If you don't understand English grammar relating to verbs, you're going to have difficulty with Greek grammar. So that's important. And then these terms: agreement, person, number, tense, time, voice, mood. You'll meet those just a little bit later. And then the main components of the verb: the stem, connecting vowel, and the personal ending. Remember, Greek is highly inflected, so you're going to see a lot of changes in the endings of the verbs, and this will become clear. And then the concept of aspect and its significance for the proper understanding of the Greek verb. You'll get an introduction to that. Note these things that are described in 15:1 through actually all the way on down through 15:25, but right now I'm pointing to the English grammar, and I can't overemphasize the importance of reading and making sure that you understand clearly what is being said here in this English grammar. Compare the English grammar to the Greek grammar on verbs, because that becomes very important. Once you have read and kind of soaked in the English grammar, move to the Greek grammar beginning in 15:12, and you just need to learn these characteristics of the verb: agreement, person, number, tense, aspect, and voice. All of those things are extremely important in dealing with Greek verbs. So be sure to learn those very carefully. Don't try to learn the forms yet. We'll pick up those in the next chapter, but just notice the similarities and differences in the Greek grammar and the English grammar. And for instance, agreement in English and Greek verbs is essentially the same. Person is essentially the same. Number, singular and plural, essentially the same. Tense is different in English and Greek. Please note those. Aspect is also different. Note that. And then voice is also different. So be sure to pay attention to those things. Now, if you will notice, he talks about the main components of the verb, and Mounce's method is to learn how the Greeks put the words together, and then you'll be able to take them apart. That is a good methodology for learning verbs, and it does cut down on the memorization. If you look at the chart at section 16:3, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me not run ahead of that. Let's see, that should be 15:3. I apologize for that. if you look at the chart back at 1519, I think is where I'm talking about, you see those components of the a verb, and they are the stem, the connecting vowel, and then the personal endings. And then he talks to you in 1523 about how to parse those verbs, and then in 1524 the lexical form. So you'll see that parsing is similar in verbs as it is in nouns, but of course the elements are quite different. So you want to make sure that you notice those differences. There is a conclusion, 1525. Pay close attention to that, read it very carefully, and then work through that summary. If you don't understand something, then move back to it. Then we move to 16, chapter 16. Now this is where we begin actually looking at verbs. We're going to be looking at the present, active, indicative. Present is the tense, active is the voice, indicative is the mood. We'll learn about mood a little bit later on, learn more about mood. We'll learn a little bit about it here, but right now what you want to do is simply follow what he gives you in this chapter. This exegetical insight is also very good, and I really encourage you to look at it. It's one of my favorites. So look closely at that and pay attention to it. Then the English concepts here are in 16.1 are very similar to Greek, so not a lot of differences. Now here's where the chart is at 16.3, and it does the same thing that we were talking about earlier. It gives you the elements of the Greek verb, the stem, the connecting vowel. These are going to be an important concept, particularly in this tense. You'll see more about that and how that changes from one to the other. And then the ending, that also is important, and that's what's involved in that chart. So you got the present stem, the connecting vowel, and the primary active personal endings. We learn more about these endings as we go along. But look at the description of each of these in this section. And then we move to the form of the present active indicative, and you'll see an introduction and then the paradigm. Now, here's something else you just got to learn. So, Mounce again suggests learning the personal endings by themselves. I would keep a chart of that, and that can be helpful to you. But to me, it's a lot easier to just go ahead and memorize the result, where you take the personal ending, combine it with the stem and the connecting vowel, and see the result. And that's what's in the left column of section 16.10. So what you want to learn is the endings would be o, as, I, amen, edi, usi. Now, you've heard me say those before, and they are very, very important. So I would learn those as you go along. Just memorize them. That's the only thing you can do. Then, if you look on the next page at 16.12, he starts building for you a master personal ending chart. All those blanks will be filled when you get through. So you got 4 things that you're going to just have to learn. And of course, what you want to do is keep them in your notebook. And of course, you can use those on anything except the quizzes. When we're doing these weekly quizzes, any translation or anything else, you can certainly use those on, and they will help you a lot. So keep them in your notebook. Your assignment for chapter 16, you're going to. Let me mention one other thing, and that is the characteristics of the present active indicative at 16.13. He talks about aspect and time. Note what he is saying here. It's either continuous action or undefined action. That's the aspect. And the time, of course, is past, present, or future. For the present active indicative, it, of course, is going to be present time, and it's going to be continuing action. So just note that, if you will. And then in 16.15, he talks about the relationship of verbs and personal pronouns. We've talked about that a little bit before. I think because the personal pronoun is present in the verb with the ending, then you don't have to repeat that personal pronoun in Greek. When it's there, when it shows up, the personal pronoun shows up separately. It's usually an indication of emphasis, but we'll learn that as we move along. He gives you the master verb chart, a beginning of it, on page 136 at 1616. You want to pay close attention to that. Now we'll go to the assignments. Your exercises in the workbook in chapter 16 only. There are no exercises in 15. What you want to do is pars 1 through 10. And then if you will note in the PowerPoint, I'm just asking you to do the warm-up exercise now, but you don't have to turn that in. And then you translate sentences 5 through 10 for that. Then getting ready for the quiz, that's important. That's spelled out in the PowerPoint. The things you're going to have to learn for this quiz would be the present active endings. That's the endings with the connecting vowel. That's the best way. If you take the chart on page 133 at 1610, the left column, if you separate the lu, the lambda upsilon from that, that's what your endings are going to be. The o, I, si, amen, edi, usi, or you can put that together in the right column. You notice on the first one, there is no ending, but what happens is the vowel lengthens. And so that's where the omicron, where the omega takes the place of the omicron. But anyway, take a look at that. Learn those, be ready for the quiz, and then be able to identify the characteristics of the verbs and learn the vocabulary, of course, in chapters 14 and 16, and then take the weekly quiz by Saturday night as normal. Now let's look at the vocabulary for chapter 16. Let me pronounce that. If you will, please repeat that as we go. These are going to be primarily verbs. You have akuo. Let me say, you will notice that the present active indicative first singular is the lexical form. Normally, if there is one of those, there are a few verbs that don't have that form, and so there'll be something else there. But that's your lexical form. All right. So we said akuo, and then blepo, and then echo, lego, luo, namas, and that's, you see the genitive form, that's a noun, and then hapu, pistuo, prosopon, tate, tuflos, kara is the last of those. So those are the things. Now, if you look on page 138, I hope it will be interesting to you. He writes about exegesis. Again, there's nothing for you to do there, but it is something that I think would be very helpful to you. So anyway, a long chapter and 2 chapters and a long video this time, but I hope it's going to be helpful to you, and we will see you again on the next one.